George Coleman, who was amazing. So there were classes as well given. He did master classes. Tommy Flanagan, all those people, was great. Great feeling being in the presence of these, that you would think you would never meet them in your lifetime. Alan Smith started a company called Jazzontheterrace. I might be wrong, but I thought it was 82 or 83. So that's the time I'm playing with the trio. And he brought over George Coleman, Tommy Flanagan, who was the great piano player that was on that previous record I was talking about, the incredible jazz guitar, Wes Montgomery. He's the piano player and all that, and it was a great opportunity to ask him about that when he came to. I didn't play with him, no. Louis Stewart played with him, so of course, but I did get a chance to play with George Mraz, the bass player then, and that was a great experience. So we recorded a couple of tracks with John on drums. So so it was an opportunity since Alan brought that kind of calibre to Ireland, some of the first Americans to come to Ireland. It was a great opportunity for the local talent to be sort of exploited and be exposed, and I felt great because when you played with a bass player like that, you know, immediately your own playing improves. So the group then was Jim Doherty at Lucky, and it was George on bass and John Wadham. So that period I was working with John quite a bit, yeah. We played things like Broadway, we played things like Monks, you know, Straight No Chaser, My Foolish Heart, which he played, he gave us a kind of a little bit of arrangement, double eight. That was wonderful. When you play with great players, obviously you play better, of course, you know, because just because locking in with a great player, it just means that the interaction is incredible. Because I remember when we listened back, I just found it incredibly interesting that George Mraz heard everything when we were playing. For example, John Wadham, the drummer, played a kind of a rhythmic phrase, and in which immediately George Mraz answered it on the bass. It might have just been one or two notes, but yeah. So you've got that sense that once they start to play, they can switch onto a musical planet and can hear everything outside what they're playing. And I found that incredible, and I found I had to learn that. I think I just sort of, before you would play your little solo and say, well, there you are, that's my contribution to the song, you know. But here it was like from the very first note, was this kind of interaction between that you are part of the group, there's no passengers here, and that you all have to, you know, interact. And this is what makes all the great jazz groups sound, you know, like Miles's group and all the great groups, is that sense of connection straight away when they play, you know. So that was that really eye-opener on how to really play the jazz at that level. The audience were amazing because they didn't realize how good it was going to be. And what I mean by that is, would it work with playing with Irish musicians? So here's the start of, like Louis Stewart played with George Coleman and Tommy Flanagan. I played with George Mraz, so, you know, they were going to say, this is not good. And if they played all together as the Americans, they knew it was going to work, of course. But and so they were interested, and I think a lot of them were come for that reason, to see how would the Irish fare here, the Irish jazz musician, you know, in groups like that. And you know, it turned out to be, I think we acquitted ourselves very well, you know, in that sense.